Hey, good morning. It helps if I turn my mute off. It's one of those mornings, right? Oh my goodness. Welcome, Abby. You are first yet again. What are you going to do with all these internets I've been mailing you? Hopefully you put them to good use. Gasm, hello, welcome. First time I've seen you here. Chandra, thanks for being here. We are going to have a fun one today. I tell you, Abby says, if you hit the thumbs up, it gives you little stars. Let me see if I can get your chat up here today. I'm a little bit behind. Let's see. Okay. I'll work on that. We'll get there. We'll get there for sure, I promise. We need camera 3 to be there. Okay, yeah, I'll get this figured out. I'm down one computer today. And so I'm trying to do two things on one computer, which is a little bit... Abby, you got the internet. It arrived already. I tell you, I ship fast. So glad you're happy. Wonderful. Good morning, Randy. Welcome. Jennifer Hodge, welcome. Good morning to you. How's everything for you guys? How's the weather? I can tell you, I'm not sure if you can tell, but the judge in whatever courtroom I'm broadcasting from left the skylights wide open, and I've got the sun just blazing in on me, and it's really causing problems with my green screen. But yeah, we'll work through that. That's not going to be a problem. One more little tweak here. This input is going to be on camera 3. Okay, I think I might have fixed it. Let's see if I can bring your chats on. Nope. Well, I'll fix it here as we go. Anyway, morning peoples, morning everybody. You guys are amazing. I'm down one screen, and I tell you, when you lose some real estate, as far as screen space goes, it's nerve-wracking. Trying to figure out how to make everything work. I need to see two things at the same time on the same window, and it's not working very well. We'll go to me full here so I can sort of play with that while we talk. I have been doing some homework, a fair amount of homework on this Sarah Boone case. Oh my goodness, it is nuts. It is crazy. I am loving it, and at the same time, it's horrible. And I'm trying to find my balance there with all that. I've discovered I'm a true crime addict. And I think you guys already knew that, and you guys probably already knew you were addicted as well, but that's what I'm finding. And so I did a ton of research, and the thing that really got to me the other day is I think last time I was live, we shared the letter that Sarah Boone had written to her lawyer and copied the judge on, and that was just earlier this month. And it's basically this nice letter saying, hey, why don't you ever answer my calls? I call you every single day, and you never answer my call. You've only talked to me 3 times, and these are the times and for how many minutes, and I have all these questions for you. I need to know what's going on. I need to be updated. By the way, you're my 6th lawyer. I hope God's put us together for a reason, and I hope that's going to be magical and wonderful. And it sort of went in a weird place at the end, almost like a Casey Anthony type feel with her lawyer. She went there. Anyway, 6 times the charm, she hopes. And she's like, hey, well, now I'm available. But we'll go into all that for sure. What have you guys been doing as far as homework? Did I give you any assignments as far as researching just a little bit, anything? Okay, I'm going to hide that window. Man, this is cramping my style. Let's see. Jennifer, wonderful. Welcome to my world. Abby, thanks for letting us play in your internet today. It is beautiful as always. I appreciate you. I have a little tiny screen. If you see this here, I have a little tiny screen right here. It's right here. This is what I'm working with. That big screen up there, I can't see that. It's too far away. I'm blind as a bat. But this little tiny screen is what I'm working with, and I need to have like 3 different things on it and have it work. Matthew Harris, our resident lawyer, says the ethical implications on the attorney in that letter are frightening. We are going to go into that, Matthew, and I'd love your input because I went through all the court filings and the Ninth Circuit in Orange County is great. They put all their stuff online, and there's only one out of like 300 documents that are already on the record in this case. that are confidential, and so everything else is available. So I'm pouring through that and reading it, and a lot of it is boring stuff because it's public defenders. They're basically saying, "Hey, Your Honor, I need to travel and do this. Can you justify my travel expense?" type thing. Can you approve it? And specialists that are needed and everything. It's boring, but it gives a little bit of insight as to what's going to come. But as I mentioned in the letter, the end of that letter where she says, "Hey, you're my sixth defender. This 6 times the charm." I'm like, 6? There's something there we need to look into. And so I went back and I pulled all of the motions. Let me see if I can pull this up on screen here. The motions to withdraw. Okay, because this is where the lawyer is saying, "Hey, Judge, can you let me off this one?" Right? And we're going to go through all of those, and I'm going to show you the reasons. And at first, I thought it was like psycho crazy, and then when I got into it, I realized it's psycho crazy. It is. It's weird. And some of it is like legitimate, and it's like, but others is just like, nobody wants to touch this. Nobody wants to be anywhere near it. I think they're looking for reasons. I don't know. I might be wrong on that, but we'll go over that here in just a second. Guys, you're amazingly patient. I hit the on-air button because I was so excited to talk to you guys, and I'm not ready to talk. I've got to get your chat on the screen, and it's going to take just a second. Can you guys play kindly, nicely with each other without hurting anybody? If I put a little music on, would that work? Okay, give me 3 seconds here. A little more than that, though. We're almost there. I've got it. I've just got to adjust a tiny bit here. It's ugly right now, but it's going to get there. We're almost there. Oh man. Okay, music time's over. I'm back. We're just gonna wing it. I don't have your chats on screen. That's what it is. I've failed yet again, and I take full responsibility for that. I will read them all as they come across live, as fast as I can. But let's get to the meat of the matter, which really is this these letters. These letters are absolutely incredible to check out. Take that one off. I have too many buttons, that's for sure. Okay, here we go. All right, here we have this motion to withdraw. The motion to withdraw is what the public defender files to the judge, and it's basically what Daryl Brooks' lawyer filed when he wanted to represent himself. They're like, basically, we're going to withdraw because he wants to represent himself. It's like 2 motions there, I think. But here's the first motion to withdraw. Can you guys see this? Is it? It's got a lot of legal speak, but so I'm gonna cut to the chase on most of these. I'm gonna filter through all 7 documents because one of them is like a 2-parter. But first one, okay, it says, the defendant in this matter, and I don't think I can highlight it, but this part right here, the defendant in this matter initially applied for and had the public defender counsel, but has now retained private counsel. All that means is she said, at first I was too poor, but now I've decided to hire my own attorney. Okay, so she goes ahead and she does that. So the judge says, okay, you can go. Turns out she's still too poor and she can't pay the attorney. So another one is assigned to her. So we get to this next one, and here's where it starts getting interesting. The undersigned is forced to withdraw. This is public defender number 2. The undersigned is forced to withdraw as irreconcilable differences have arisen between undersigned and the defendant and have made it impossible for the undersigned to effectively represent his client. As always, it's difficult to convey all particulars to the court and at the same time maintain all the duties to the client. So that's basically there's a client attorney privilege. He doesn't want to spill the guts on the reason why they're not getting along, because it could, it could harm the client basically. So he basically says, Judge, look, just trust us. This is not going to work. Okay, this is going to end in a disaster. I cannot represent her anymore, and let me go. And the judge says, I need more information. So he goes back and he says, let's see where it says. At the very bottom of this one, undersigned appreciates the court providing him the opportunity to amend the previously filed motion, because basically the judge says, you're going to have to give me more than just we don't get along. However, after further researching, come on, next page. After further researching the issue, I'm still under the belief that this adversarial relationship may disclose information that may prejudice his client, and as such will stand mute on the specifics. So the lawyer comes back and he's like, Judge, I realize you asked for more information, but Abby, don't press the red button. But really, we just can't get along, and I can't tell you why. That's all I can say there. So Judge then lets the second public defender off the case. So now we go to the third motion. Okay, and this is where it starts getting interesting. In part 4 of this letter, this is the third public defender, says there would be a conflict of interest for the public defender to continue to represent her, as the interests of the defendant and George Torres Jr. were adverse, hostile, and irreconcilable. Why? Because the conflict has arisen in part 3 that the public defender can no longer effectively represent the defendant due to the fact that the public defender's office represented George Torres Jr., the dead guy. You gave the dead guy's old lawyer from one of their previous custody fights, I misspoke, from their domestic issues, okay, because they've both been in jail for domestic issues against each other. But you gave the old husbands or boyfriends, depending on who you talk to, you gave his lawyer to her now, and he's like, look, this isn't going to work. We faced off in court once already, and it was not pretty. So this lawyer, what's number 3, he's out, right? So we go to number 4. Number 4 does not have many words. I mean, if you have a public defender that only goes to this effort to make a filing, you might want to get a new public defender. But he says, so here I am, coming to you, Judge. The undersigned counsel is appointed to represent the defendant in the above styled manner. Wherefore, the defendant and by and through undersigned counsel respectively request that his honorable court grant this motion and appoint another conflict attorney to represent the defiant, because the undersigned counsel was appointed to represent the defendant in the above stated matter. Basically, one of the witnesses, her name is given as Melissa Sexton. We don't know what her role is, on which side it is. But one of the witnesses in this case, this guy was her lawyer. So he's like, look, I'm connected. I'm too close. I would literally be subpoenaing somebody who was once my client. Can't go there, okay? Judge lets him off. So which one is that? This is the 4th one. Now we go to the 5th. The 5th guy also has very few words. He says there's a conflict to this motion. There's a conflict, and we want to withdraw because I'm finding it. I'm looking for the reason here. It basically just says I want out. The undersigned has a conflict with his representation of the defendant that precludes him from further representation in this case. Please get a new one. So he's out. That was Mark Consolo, Esquire. That guy's. So now we're on the current one. This current one, this is Borowitz. We have an order now from the court basically saying, okay, you can withdraw, turn it over to Frank Borowitz. This is the current lawyer, and this is the lawyer that she's written the letter to, that she's like, hey, why haven't you answered my calls? I've called you every day. I know. He's probably like, I know you've called me every day. Most lawyers probably don't need to hear from their client every day as they're preparing for trial. But this is nuts. I think this is actually going to go through, though. I think the trial date of November 7th is going to be the actual start. It's going to happen. It's going to be bizarre. What we have is I don't know if to call her the wife and a husband's thing, because she says they had, he had a wedding ring, and she wants the wedding ring back. As a matter of fact, while she's being interrogated for his murder at the police station, she asks when she can get the wedding ring back, because that's hers. She paid for it. I don't know if they were legally married, if it was sort of like a common law or just a little agreement between them. We'll have to find out later. But yeah, wow. She has some weird psycho stuff. How many of you guys in chat, if you could, like by a show of hands, how many of you guys have watched either her arrest video, which is a body cam footage of her outside her apartment where George's body is inside on the floor, or the video of her interrogation at the police station? How many of you guys have watched that? And if you have, I've got a question for you. I'll give you just a second for chat to catch up, because I know there's a little bit of a delay here on YouTube today. So we've got some yeses. Clan the Cave Bear says, yeah, okay. There's a few of you that have watched this. If you haven't, both these videos are available. They've both been released to the public. They're pretty easy to find. Matthew Harris says, failure to maintain communications with clients is one of the fastest ways for attorneys to lose their licenses. This isn't Mr. Borowitz's first complaint. So you're saying she's got grounds, right? But does it have to be every day, Matt? I mean, do you have to be like Johnny on the spot every time somebody calls? You have to be right there to listen to her complain or flirt with you, as the case may be. That's okay. A few of you have watched everything. You've seen both, watched both. Thank you, guys. Okay, so tell me this. What stood out as far as her body language and as far as the things that she seemed to be most focused on in this moment? And try to put yourself, I know most of you have probably not murdered your boyfriend or husband or significant other. I'm going out on a limb there, and I'm saying most of you have probably not been in that situation. So we can't really understand the situation she's allegedly in. But tell me this. What did she do that was just weird for you? What stood out? Okay, Patty P. Watch both. Dr. Pepper and my cigarettes. Yeah. Her hubby is dead on the floor, stiff and purple, right? There are cops everywhere, and she's like, hey, can I go get my Dr. Pepper? It's just in there in the house. I'll step over him and promise not to kick him as I go. I need a Dr. Pepper. I'm really thirsty. Can I get some cigarettes? Do you have cigarettes? Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Matthew Harris has a link for me to look into. Let me grab that right now. Open that in a new tab. We'll pull that for just a second. But basically, it looks like that is the list of accusations, or a site where we can look into the accusations against her public defender for non-responsiveness, maybe. That's just where I'm thinking. P199 says, she's a 100% Karen. She played the victim. Scared of his family. Yeah, she's like, so you're not going to tell anybody, how long until they find out? His family that lives just down the road. And they're like, oh, we have to inform families. We're not going to, we'll tell them what we know, type thing. And she's like, well, we'll have time. They'll say, so you'll have time. She's like, to run? I'm like, they're like, we've got a runner. But wow. Oh, yeah. It was, she kept saying how they were playing hide and seek and she fell asleep. Right. I told you yesterday when we talked, I've been playing hide and seek wrong. All this time, I've always thought the person who's stands there and covers their eyes and counts to 20 or whatever, and then all the people who aren't it run and hide. Well, apparently, this wonderful Karen here in Florida has taught us that hide and seek, actually, the person who's zips the people who are hiding into a suitcase, and then she counts, and then she forgets to come find you. That's basically her story. She's like, we were playing this game of hide and seek. I don't know. She's like, I'm going to put you in here, and then I'm going to forget where you are, and then I'm going to try to find you. It just doesn't sit well with me, right? Cave Bear, all caps, you're forgiven. Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. Even happens to Daryl Brooks occasionally. Emily White says, it wasn't intentional. That was her favorite phrase. You literally zipped him in and never let him out. Yeah, and in the interview, in the interrogation, the police probably showed exactly what the prosecution is going to focus on when they're looking at intent. Now, she can say, I didn't mean to kill him. I didn't mean for him to die. I didn't mean for him to not be able to get out. She can say that all she wants. But she did zip him into the suitcase. And she said that. She zipped him into the suitcase. He was drunk. I'm not sure if she got him drunk. She said that she wasn't drunk. There were definitely 2 bottles of wine that were fully consumed, that were purchased the day before. But she said she wasn't drunk, and that's actually sort of come back to bite her because now she's blaming it on the wine. Yeah, she seemed like a terrible drunk. Anyway, Lisa Murray points out, and she called her ex first. Yeah, she called her ex-husband before she called the cops. She literally came downstairs, was like, oh no, George is still in the suitcase. Zips him out, tries to lay him out. He's probably stiff in there, right? He's purple and stiff. She tries to she uses the word stretch him out. So she's like, it's almost like desecration of a body type thing. And then she says she's doing CPR. I'm not sure if they'll find any evidence of that or not. But the first call she makes is to her ex-husband. And he shows up. I think he beat the cops there, and I haven't seen. We'll probably have his testimony because I'm sure they're going to get that in the trial because he had information about what she was talking about, what she was saying before the police even got there. So he's the one that told her she needs to call the police. And granted, you look at this. This was like in the evening. On one night, they're playing games. They're outside. That she says, "Hey, let's go inside. Let's work on this puzzle." And it's almost like a coached line. I said, "Let's go inside," and he said, "Okay." And I said, "Let's work on the puzzle." And he said, "Okay." And then he said, "Let's listen to music." And he said, "Okay." And then she said, "Let's get in the suitcase." And he said, "Okay." Anyway, crazy stuff. Never talk to cops without a lawyer. It's good advice. Good advice. Even if you're innocent, I just recommend it. And I think Matt would probably agree with me on that. I'm going out on a limb there too. Okay, her ex-spouse. She was drunk. When you listen to the video, she appears to be under the influence of something. Right, the video. The biggest witness against her is the video she made of her husband in the suitcase as he was suffocating, basically, as he's screaming for help and saying he can't breathe. And that's the point where she decided, this is fun. I'm going to go upstairs and lay down and just wait for him to get out. I'm sure he'll be up in about half an hour. And after half an hour, she's like, it's not up. I'm just going to go to sleep. Fell asleep. Oops. Next morning, 11 o'clock the next morning, as she's slept off whatever, she had in her system the night before, she wakes up, does not go and look for George. She says, no, George is downstairs. He's probably on the computer applying for jobs. George is not going to apply for another job again. Yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. Matthew Harris is living the dream. That is awesome. She sounded drunk on the video. We'll have to look into that. We'll have to look into her body language. What was the stuff she was doing when she was, being interviewed? And what in the world is with the shopping list she brought to the interrogation? She's like, so you guys are done asking about how he died? Because I've got some questions. I need his wedding ring, and who's going to call his work, right? Somebody has to call his work. And then, do I cancel his classes? I'm like, what innocent person who just basically killed someone on accident, according to her story, what would that be where your mind goes? Is that the first thing that comes to the top of your mind? You're like, that's the love of my life. We're good. We're in a good spot. It's the best we've ever been. I love him with all my heart. He means so much to me. I can't leave him. And I just want his wedding ring back because I bought it. I'm like, oh man. Okay. BBQ Chicken, you bring up a sad point. She does have a child. It's with her ex-husband. And I don't know the age right now. I could probably look into that, but he got dragged into this. I don't want to publish too much about him, especially if it's not going to be pertinent to the trial. But the sad part is that, his family first is torn apart with whatever psychoness happened there, and now his mom is on trial for murder. So Abby says November 7th, I think it starts. That's what it's slated for. There have been some delays in the past looking in the trial log, but I think we're moving forward here. Angie says they have body language ladies on YouTube. It's very interesting. I'll have to look into that because I'm not an expert in that area, but it looked off. Something looked wrong. It was like it doesn't sit well with me. Like something's not right here. Oh, it was nuts. Okay. Who would get in the suitcase in the first place? Wow, not me. Okay, alcohol can make you do crazy things. I've seen people, jump off a roof of a house and aim for the pool and miss because they thought they could fly, and that can happen. But it almost goes to the question, how far ahead was this game planned? How did the suitcase get downstairs when it normally was in the closet? Yeah, she's like, oh, we were going to donate stuff. Is there other clothes downstairs that she took out of the suitcase? Where is that? How did that work? Yeah, because I think it's not adding up. Her story sounded good when she first thought of it, but I don't think it's adding up. Just my take on that. Patty P, I wonder if domestic violence advocates are going to try and mitigate her actions. That'll be interesting. I will say, looking at this judge, and maybe Matt can help me, the Judge Wooten is who we have from the Ninth Circuit. There are people that say he goes too easy on domestic violence cases. It's hard to say, if they're just the, sour grapes type thing, they wanted a harsher outcome, or if that's actually, a legitimate concern or complaint about it. But Matt comes back and says, I think the most damaging thing she said was, this is how you make me feel when you cheat on me, when he was begging from the suitcase. That's motive. Yes, it is. That's motive. And she has a prior conviction, on her record for attempting to strangle the same person she just killed. So cutting off his breath seemed like something that was a repeat idea in her head. She literally laughed while he was in there. She sounded a lot like Daryl Brooks with the narcissism and I won't be told what to do attitude. I think Court TV's doing a body language thing. Wonderful. I wonder if it will come out as evidence. Is that admissible, or is that sort of more on the fringe side of evidence? Because the police use it when they're interrogating you. They'll definitely look at how you're sitting and your heart rate and what things cause your eyes to dilate and everything else, and how you hold your hands and grasp, and they're going to watch all that. Those are the cues they're picking up on to try to determine the truth. But how much of that is admissible in court or even relevant in court? Let's see. Chris Power says, hey, I'm watching for Germany and can't wait to see that trial and hear her BS claims. Well, I think we know pretty much her whole story, at least what she's claiming. The amazing part is she's saying, yes, we did all this. We played a game. We had some drinks. We were playing a game. I zipped him in the suitcase. And she says, I thought he could get out because it was easy for me to undo it from the outside. That's like saying it's easy to open a trunk from the outside. Nowadays, trunks have the release lever, but it might be a lot harder to get out of a suitcase when you're zipped in, as he found out. Angie, now Boone says, Boone pushed the suitcase down the stairs. That's why there's bruises on head and hands. I think that's what we're going to find. That, or she, because there's a baseball bat mentioned that was either in the room or very close by that belonged to her son. It's possible she used the baseball bat on the suitcase. It's not sure about that. We'll see. But there's also, he's got other injuries as well, which she attributes to a rough amorous session. Her phone is, She wants to know, how soon can I have my phone back? Because I really need to delete some videos. Oh, man. Yes, she did. She used a few expletives, saying when he said he couldn't breathe, right? And we'll hear those in court. Sorry, guys, those will be part of the evidence. They were in a toxic relationship where they drank daily. I don't believe it was premeditated, but she absolutely felt she was better than him. Next trial to watch after Daryl Brooks. Yeah, this is it. This one starts in November 7th. She's guilty as a giraffe stood next to a tree with no leaves on top. George. Oh man, if there's any internet left over from Abby, yeah, you win the rest of it. That's a wonderful comment. Okay, Pug Power says was boyfriend, not hubby. That's my understanding, and most of the references in the case refer to him as boyfriend. The only time I've heard husband is when she's talking about the wedding ring, his wedding ring that she bought him. So I was leaving it open in case there's some information out there that I didn't have. Fringe not sound for trials is interpretation. Okay. So basically it might help the police sort of know how to ask questions and delve deeper into topics, but it's not going to be evidence for trial, says Matt. Fringe is soft science, not competent evidence for trial. It's just for our benefit only then. But we'll go into it anyway because it's fascinating. And you never know, we might learn something and suddenly find out that somebody we think is telling us the truth has been lying to us all along based on what we learned from body language. Now, if she ends up Jennifer, if she ends up representing herself, another gong show for sure. But I don't think that's going to happen. Although she is this type A. Did you guys see her comment where she said, it's a straight A student. I excel at everything I do. You know, she's like, I always win. I am the one who knows what to do. And right now I don't know what to do. So tell me what I need to do type thing, you know, so I can excel at it. She's in a spot where mentally I don't think she's happy with where she's at. I'll be your genie in a bottle. What a wonderful name. Just joined. Has it been discussed that her attorney put in a motion for continuance yesterday? No. Genie, don't do that. I'll look into that. Or Matt, have you heard that? Any of our legal experts on here, have they heard that? Anything that might delay the trial, hopefully isn't happening. Yeah, but I mean, it could make sense with 6 different lawyers. He's been her public defender, for 3 months now? Is that, or they said 84 days, I think it was. So yeah. They need to lock her up for the rest of life. She's dangerous, says Lisa. Karen says, I bet she plays the victim. Chris Power says, yeah, that video was tough to watch. I can't imagine to be in the suitcase when my girlfriend's mocking me while I'm dying. It is tough. I'm baffled as to how she got him in that suitcase. He was a smaller guy, as far as his frame, and it looks like a pretty good-sized suitcase. It probably wasn't comfortable, but he may have been coaxed to get in. Christy, I'm trying not to go there. Imagine being her bunkmate. Randy Rabbit says, hi, first time here, Randy. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you. This is a great place to be. Hope you can return often and share your insights and questions. What state are they in? Not an ostrich. I'll give you 49 guesses. No, just kidding. They're in Florida. Florida has had their share of crazy cases. And one of, I wish I could remember who it was. One of you guys brought it up the other day that Florida, in addition to having some crazy cases, has had some crazy juries where you know we as the viewers on the outside we don't see all the evidence, but just from our outside perspective and what we know and what the media has shown us and you know the limited knowledge we have, we're like, this is a slam dunk. And then you get Casey Anthony. They've had a few of those, and it's possible that this might be one as well, which, you know, it's crazy. Angie, say that's not true. No. Who was it? Did we get some confirmation on the motion? Or are you saying say that's not true, Florida? yeah. Let it be summer. This whole case screams addiction. Oh, it's amazing. It's going to be wonderful and at the same time awful. But at least we won't have the sovereign citizen garbage to go through. And I do think that this trial will be much shorter. First of all, we don't have many witnesses, so we're going to have people who are going to testify. Matt confirmed it. Motion for continuance yesterday. We'll have to look at that. I can go back and look at and see. Well, I'll dig into that after this stream. It's just, as you guys know, I don't do two things very well. I can do one thing very well, but when I start doing two things, I don't do either of them very well. So me researching while trying to talk and read chat is not a good combination. Mo Freedom says they were supposedly playing hide and seek. She was clearly intoxicated and passed out. Okay, Mo Freedom, are you thinking, do you believe her? That's my question. Do you believe that she did not intend for this to happen? And if so, I've got a follow-up question. Matthew Harris says, motion for continuous is weak. It simply says that discovery is ongoing, right? And they did file another, motion for discovery type thing previously. I didn't dig deep enough to try to figure out what it was, but apparently they're thinking that the prosecution is getting new evidence, and so they're asking for that to be turned over. I doubt they'll let her defend herself. I don't think she wants to. I think she has this unique view of herself and how she interacts with men that she would prefer to have a lawyer that she can flirt with. Did I say that? I did. That's just my impression. The way that letter ended, it creeped me out. My skin it crawled when I read that. Yes, Hopping Rabbit, we believe he died of asphyxiation, but in the autopsy, he also had some injuries. He had some blunt force injuries to his head. How did those get there? I mean, she says she has no idea how. But then in the video, the video clearly shows that there are two videos that she flipped the suitcase between one video and the next. So the suitcase was moved, bashed around maybe. We don't know. We'll find out. Vicky says, hi, also new here. Welcome, Vicky. Glad you can make it here. Since it's Florida, is it a DP eligible trial? No, it is not. They're charging second-degree murder, which the maximum penalty is life in prison. But great question, Vicky, and thank you. Please continue providing us with great. Talking is not my strong point today. It's been rough. But Vicky, thanks for the question. Keep asking them. Come on, honey, just curl up in the suitcase. It'll be fun. Yeah. The thing is that I wonder if there are any neighbors, any witnesses from the neighbors, because we've seen from the police reports that some of the neighbors that they talked to said they fought all the time. It was just they'd hear things smashing, they'd hear yelling, and I'm wondering what they heard that night. I wonder if there's somebody who's like, yeah, it was weird. I'm wondering if there was loud music that was covering up any sounds, because in her testimony, she's like, he gets really riled up when there's music, and I just try to turn it off and say, hey, let's do this instead. Let's do a puzzle and all this. But then she said, so we went and did the puzzle, and then I said, hey, let's listen to some music. I'm like, so you introduced the music? Yeah. The story just, it doesn't, it didn't, Hopping Rabbit, asphyxiation, that's what it is. Did I answer that one already? Yeah, the story doesn't stack up for me. Upside down drunk in a suitcase would suck. Yeah, literally just shoot me. They may have a difficult time proving intent. I, for one, would never believe a suitcase is airtight. Clearly, he was begging to be let out, and she disregarded his pleas. Yes. Okay. Now, they only have to prove that that a reasonable person would understand that it would be a problem, and she had to be aware of it because she literally was talking to him as he was making her aware of the fact that he couldn't breathe. So she had some knowledge. She was responding to his statements that he couldn't breathe. And then she clearly had intent to go upstairs. She said, so I went upstairs and I laid in bed and I was waiting for him type thing. So she intentionally left him in a situation where he informed her that he could not breathe. And it's a situation she put him in. So I think they'll have a pretty good case for intent on this one. That's just my take on this. We've got a bunch of new guys in here. Welshie, it says the suitcase was stood up and then laid down. They have metal rods. Maybe they could have made injuries. Yeah, it's possible. We also know the suitcase was kept in the upstairs closet, where I believe the clothes that she wanted to donate to like Goodwill or whatever still were. But she says she took the suitcase down and put it by the door because they were going to donate the clothes. I haven't heard or seen if any of those clothes were brought downstairs with the suitcase. And if so, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you Why would you bring the item you're going to pack all the clothes in to the other part of the house and leave the clothes up there? So, yeah, it's just, it doesn't make sense. Oh, man. Eric Banter says it's terrible because factually we know that he was flipped in that suitcase, which he would have no defense against. We know that he has trauma to the head. Yes, we do. The autopsy, they actually kept him a little bit longer in the autopsy because they were trying to determine just how recent those injuries were. And I think they probably got some information that said that this happened almost at the time of death type thing, and they'll be able to determine that from the bruising patterns and how far it spreads and a million other little details about how blood in the body works that, it's a little gross to go into, but it's great evidence in court. Her own words will be the damning evidence. She has to overcome that. And so far, all she said is, that's just how we were. We're just, when we're lovey-dovey, that's what I do. I yell at him and tell him that, this is how you make me feel when you cheat on me. That's just our conversation. Yeah. I don't know. Anthony, Zimmerman, Nelson, Cruz, scary. Alvin, you are right. Florida has had some weird stuff, and this might be the same. What part of Florida is this? This is Orange County. Orange County. It's sort of like in the center. Ninth Circuit is where it's at. Dark humor. Oh, man. Yeah. There's packing for an overnighter. That's what you're referring to. Let it be summer. Oh, man. Yeah, she is from Winter Park, Florida. Catherine, thank you for that. Mac, it's all right. We like to joke around here, too. Obviously, we don't want to joke at victims' expenses, really. But sometimes when there's a heavy topic like this, it helps to just be able to laugh a little bit, and at the same time, it's horrific. But as long as it's all in good taste, we will allow it. Overruled. The reason he was blue is because he was deprived of oxygen because he couldn't expand his chest because your body protects itself. The oxygenated blood would go... Oh, Jennifer, you had a longer comment. It probably spread into two, and now since slow mode's on, we only got half of it. But Jennifer's got an understanding she was sharing with us about why the body turns blue in asphyxiation. Roxanne says, good morning, my friends. Good morning, Roxanne. It's wonderful to have you here. Yes, Abby, November 7th, but may change. Depends if the judge accepts that motion of continuance. Our local resident legal expert, Matthew Harris, thinks it's a little weak, so maybe there's a chance the judge might say he has to go ahead. He has all the evidence from all the 5 preceding lawyers that's been turned over as each one bailed on the case for one reason or another. And so he's had all that. He's had that for 3 months. And he says there's some new evidence they have to look into. We'll see what that is. He was blue because he was dead, says Patty. That's why. That's a good enough explanation for me. Tom Gillis, golf instruction. Sounds like you do some golf instruction. I could use your help. I struggle at golf myself, Tom. It's mostly a timing thing with the swing. I can never quite line up my swing with the mouth on the clown. Anyway, that's a little joke there, but I'm not a good golfer. He says, great show, new here, thanks. Welcome, Tom. Glad to have you. Have they released the official autopsy report? They released the cause of death. I'll have to look if the full report is released. We do have some information from the interrogation on what the police shared, but I don't know if the whole thing's released. Why is it that these people just can't shut up to law enforcement? Never scream lawyer? I think she really thought that her saying, I didn't mean to, would be enough. I mean, she's like, oh, it was an accident. We were playing. I thought that was enough. I think she was seriously surprised when they said, Spoon, stand up and face the wall, put your hands behind your back. That was a moment that just caught her off guard. Just tried to bury me. I was in the hospital for 3 months. Even the devil seems he was a nice guy compared to these lot. Okay. Don't forget, Florida has a sunshine law. All documents should be available to read. Right, there are a ton of documents out there. I'm just not sure what is available where. So it's a question of finding it. Obviously, when it gets entered into the evidence, it'll be easier to find maybe. Did she push the suitcase down the stairs with him in it? Says Apple Pie Kennedy. Possibly. What we don't have is we don't have the position he was in the suitcase, right? But they can probably determine that, especially if there's any items like little protruding things inside the suitcase that may have injured him as it flipped. Matthew Harris is going to work for us for free. I appreciate it, Matthew. He says, in my review of motion for continuance, it was filed 2 days after pretrial hearing, yet references that hearing and then only says discovery is ongoing with no explanation. Okay, so so maybe the judge can just say, nope, this is going to happen. Roxanne says, name suggestion, RA, metal and crime. Roxanne is pointing out that my name, Recovery Addict, was something I thought of, which I thought was really creative at the time, and I chose it because I like metal detecting, and I recover lost items from the ground, and I'm addicted to it. So I thought, hey, Recovery Addict. I went and immediately went out to all social medias. I got it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. I got the whole thing. Got the Gmail. I've got every single Recovery Addict's name I could find, and built my little channel around it. And then I started getting followers, and everyone's like, "Hey, yeah, I've been sober, 3 years. Good on you, man." I'm like, "Oh no, oh no! I just waded into an awesome group of people, but that wasn't what I intended to do." So we've been talking about what I should change my channel name to, or if I should change my channel name. I was telling you, I was looking on YouTube last night, and of the people who find me on searching for YouTube, like 34% of them search for my name. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'll have to think it over. I missed a few comments here, but thanks for the suggestion, Roxanne. We'll keep thinking that over. They were having a good day. It ended badly for George. Ginger, great comment. Julie Baxter says, just starting to follow this case, but why would a grown man, even playing games, get into a suitcase? Could you show photos of her and him? I can. I wasn't planning on doing it today, so I don't have it ready. And Julie, I'm down one computer right now. I normally have one more source where I can do research and pull up pictures and take it live. But I'm down to one little tiny laptop as a source, and I just can't pull it in unless maybe I can get it on my iPad. Well, I'll look at that. I will definitely have it for the next one. Okay. He was a smaller framed person. I'll put it that way. I don't know why he'd get in the suitcase, but I think alcohol was probably a factor. We'll find out, if there was alcohol in his body from the autopsy, maybe. Anthony Keenan says, she's guilty as sin, in my opinion. I saw the police interview. She keeps changing her story, covering bits of it up. Yes. How adamant she was about not being drunk. And then it changed to, I blame it on the wine. So we'll see. Yes, they have the suitcase tipped over, so the lid was facing the floor, meaning down. They do. And in the video, in both videos, you can't see any opening where, even though he's pushing on it, you can't see opening where air could have got in, or he could have put two fingers out or got out. I don't see that anywhere. And we do know also that the suitcase, the tag, little zipper pull, was broken off, and so it had like a little paper clip type on it because it was difficult to open without it. So that might come into play as well. What exactly would her defense be? That's what I'm wondering, says Tyler Lewis. Right now she's going with it was an accident. She's full on admitted to zipping him into the suitcase, saying they were playing a game. And she literally is surprised at the notion that, what, you mean you can't breathe when you're in there? I had no idea. Well, we know she had an idea because George told her he couldn't breathe over and over while she was screaming profanities at him and saying, this is how I feel when you cheat on me. I'll be your genie in the bottle says, LOL, but your name could be misleading. It is misleading. I've got to fix it. Let It Be Summer says, I thought you were a recovered drug addict. See, that's the problem. I have never used drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I'm a recovered gamer, a computer gamer. I played way too much. I was addicted to that, and I've recovered from that. So technically, I could qualify. It's not sort of in the same realm, but the medical findings take up with. Let's see. Lee here says the medical findings will take up most of this trial witnesses. I believe so. We'll have a lot of that. We'll also hear from the neighbors. We'll hear from the ex-husband. Yeah, it's going to be bizarre. We might hear from some of his family. and they didn't like him. She says they called her, one time she says they call her the White Devil or the White Dragon, I think she says one time. But they didn't like her before, and I imagine that probably hasn't changed much since. Roxanne says, I was discussing this case with a friend, and she asked me if George zipped himself in. Obviously not, or he could have unzipped it. Yeah, and that would have been better if that was her story to begin with. But she opened with saying, I said, hey, it would be fun. Let's hide in the suitcase. Let's put you in there. So she's that bridge has been burned a long time ago. Sebi Serrato, I didn't say your name right. I apologize, but thanks for the comment. It says, it would be one of the most entertaining things ever if Boone chooses to represent herself. Soft said or not, because she excels at everything. Clearly the best option for her. LOL. Right. She might not excel at that. She seems pretty confused about how the legal process works, especially handling suspects in murder cases. She had no clue how that went. Jennifer Hodge says, Jennifer, he probably knew he was dying too. So sad, regardless of their history. It was sad, and it's a tragic story. Anyone who's in an abusive relationship, it's awful. And the fact that oftentimes people feel they can't get out, or feel compelled to stay, or feel like they actually do love them and want them to change. It's a vicious cycle. We'll be going into that, I'm sure, in the cases as we talk about their priors that probably will be coming up. Do you think she's going to testify in her own defense? I think she will. Roxanne says, Annette, easy on the ex-druggie comment. Hey, if you're an ex-druggie, awesome. I'm glad you're an ex-druggie. I'm all about people changing their lives and becoming better. Welcome if you are. That's great. Roxanne, you're amazing. I'm so glad to have you here, by the way. Gnarly says, I got it, Gnarly. Says, what was your game of choice? Warcraft? Yes, it was World of Warcraft. I was a jewel crafter. I played up till when they introduced pandas into the game, and then it just got a little too weird for me. But I will not tell you how much my /played time was, but it was counted in months. Let's put it that way. Let It Be Summer. If they had a prison show following Brooks in jail, it would be popular. It would be boring because he's in one cell for 23 hours a day with nobody else. But I can imagine him, if he ever does get in general population, him be like, hey guys, just so you know, I figured out this lawyering thing. Let me help you with your cases. Jailhouse lawyer, Brooks. Randy's a recovering addict, been sober 5 years. Congratulations, Randy. That's awesome. I was like, it's awesome when people come over the grasp of addiction. I'm still going to follow you on great content and commentary. Randy, thank you. I appreciate that. And all the best wishes for you in the world. That's amazing. The gang of them carrying out the most evil torture ever. Southeast. I don't know what that was in reference to, but Lisa says, in defense of my home state, yes, we are crazy. She's from Florida, guys. We are crazy, but let's be honest. Most everybody here is from somewhere else. I'm one of the few natives, LOL. Okay, so we know that Sarah Boone is also a native. So, but yeah, we do have, you guys do get a lot of transplants. A lot of people go there to retire. A lot of people go there just for the sunshine, and some people go there for the crazy. Let's see. Oh no, not Brooks. You guys are awesome. Okay, so what's my homework next? We've got a few things to look into. Matt, it looks like we've got Matt, I never asked your permission if I can call you Matt. And your legal name is Matthew. So I will correct that if you'd prefer that I call you by your full name. I always shorten things all the time, so forgive me if I've done that without your permission. You haven't given me consent to call you that name. Hey, Churchy, welcome. Glad to have you here. Roxanne says, Annette, I don't mean to offend. Many here may be in recovery or have family friends in recovery. There's not a drug user on the planet that said they want to be an addict when they grow up. Yeah, it's true. And I will say this, Roxanne and Annette and everybody, there are almost everybody you meet has something they're working on, has something they want to improve on, has something that they're not proud of something that they're trying to better themselves in. Some are more visible, and we see them in drugs and alcohol. But others are just, more private and personal. And regardless, everybody has something, and we're all, we're all in the same boat in a lot of situations. It's just a little different from one person's life to another. But mad respect for all of you. Matthew Harris says, see, I caught it. Matthew Harris says, I do actually go by Matthew. No apologies needed. I will try super hard to remember that. And I'll have like a little, a tip jar or something. Every time I shorten your name, I might have to put a quarter in. For the record, I don't consent to be called that name. How many times did she say it wasn't intentional in her interrogation? If Brooks was saying grounds, hers will be unintentional. Yes, it will be. I didn't mean to. There was no intent. I didn't intend. Facts. Yeah. Wow. You guys are awesome. We have a ton of you guys that are looking forward to this case. I really hope that it moves forward on the 7th. Obviously, we've got to wait for the judge probably to rule on that motion. Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, but will he probably rule on that motion on the 7th? And then it will just go forward then if he turns it down, or then he would extend it at that point. So that's probably the first date we'll know whether or not it's going to be delayed, right? Cat Law says, who plays hide and seek by the seeker hiding the hider? Your point is not lost on me, Cat Law. I've been playing it wrong my whole life. I always thought I actually had to find the people. Now I realize I have to hide them first and then find them. So this case has really taught me a few things. I'm quite sure she acted maliciously and hope she gets life. That is the maximum penalty she can get under the second-degree murder charge she's facing. So we'll see. It'll be a Florida jury, and we know where some of those have gone. So it'll be crazy. His trial was the most entertaining footage I think I've ever seen. True, I think you're talking about DB. That was crazy. That was nuts. And it went for so long. Oh my goodness. I just for the record, if somebody is super bored, if you want to go back and watch all the trial footage and count up how many times the judge denied one of his crazy motions for, originally it was like hearsay, which was, everything was hearsay. You can't say that it's hearsay. You can't say what you saw. It's hearsay, which is not hearsay. But then he sort of twisted it. How many do you think, just ballpark, how many of his crazy motions, including his Sovsit stuff, did she deny throughout that whole case? Matthew Harris says it could go either way. The court could grant the continuance without a hearing if unopposed by the state, or we may hear that motion taken up on the 7th. It's a 2020 case, though. It is. She has, looking back through the filings, she waived her right to a speedy trial. So it's taken a while, but it is old. They do want cases to come to trial at some point. It's important for justice. It's important for the families. It's important for everything. You can't just hold people forever pending trial. Churchy says, here in the UK, a 38-year-old woman called Gemma Mitchell murdered her 67-year-old mentally ill friend in order to take her will worth 700,000 quid. She put pounds, I think. She put it in her suitcase. Sentenced today. Oh, she put her in a suitcase. Sentenced today to 34 years. Go on Google and search suitcase murder. And shockingly, Sarah Boone is not the first one that comes up. There are many, many suitcase murders. Usually, though, it's hiding the body type thing. This is one of the rare cases where the suitcase was the murder weapon. Wow. Mary says, that's like guessing how many jelly beans a mason jar can hold. Yeah, or maybe a 50-gallon drum. That's a lot of jelly beans. She seems to be carrying too much baggage in this particular case. I love it. Alias. That's awesome. Lisa says, is this the lawful law Brooks was saying? Yeah, lawful law. You guys are funny. Total of all his motions and shenanigans, 250 minimum. I think you're low, but good guess. Mac says 906.11 times, 906.11. We heard that number a lot. That's basically the rule, the statute that the judge gets to use her discretion to order the trial to move forward and to close things that are dragging on and things like that. So she used that a lot on Brooks. YTube 2009, welcome. He says, DB, awesome trial, truth. Law school professors should use this case as study. Exciting, sad, nerve-wracking, watched each day. Yes, it will be in the textbooks for sure. Tom Gillis has no clue how many. Lisa still thinks that that suitcase went down the stairs with George in it, and that's a very likely thing. Brooks wanted a mistrial so bad, didn't work though. Yeah, did you see him grasping those straws when he's like, Reddit? What's this Reddit thing? He's like, I never heard of it, but man, does it concern me. It's like, Reddit is like the front page of a tabloid. I think they call it the front page of the internet, but you can find anything and everything on Reddit. More than 250. My calculator couldn't keep up. Lori, yeah, you'd wear through a couple calculators keeping count there. All right. Let me see. I'm going to try. I have some pictures of her, I think. Let's see. Let me put this one up here. This picture is, there we go. This picture, the lady on the right, is Sarah Boone. This is her being led out of court, or led out of the police station at the sheriff's office right after her interrogation. And she went to jail there. This is in 2020. And I think if somebody wants to go back and look at the letter she sent, I think she says she's like missed like 3 or 4 birthdays in jail. And by my math, I don't know how that's possible unless she has multiple birthdays a year, which would just add another weird dimension to this trial. If she thinks she, operates on a different calendar system than the rest of us. But Joshua says, recovery addicts, hey man, hope you're having a good day. I am, thank you. Will you be streaming? I will be streaming some. Will you be streaming the schedule hearing? The sentencing will be emotional. We're going to try. We believe that all of this will be, you're talking about DB, by the way. The impact statements and the victim statements will most likely be televised. We know that Judge Darrow is a big fan of the cameras in the courtroom. She hasn't had any reason to block them out. So much of this trial has been aired already. I think that this part where the victims get to speak their mind, especially because DB got so much airtime, I think it would be absurd for her to say we're going to keep this closed down. I think definitely they'll be streamed. But yes. I hope that answers your question. Criminal Scum says, are you a recovering addict or just addicted to recovery? A little bit of both. I'm not a drug or alcohol addict, but I do, I was addicted to gaming. And honestly, I just about lost my marriage over it. It was a real addiction. It was a real addiction. I just about lost a job and everything. It was awful, and glad that's behind me. And it's something I have to watch to make sure it doesn't become part of my life, even now. Let's see. Annette says, Roxanne, I've no idea what I did wrong, and here's me thinking I found a friendly channel. Annette, no, what's wrong? What happened? Guys, we can just hug and make up. Let's sing Kumbaya together. It'll be all right. What's happening, Annette? Clint says the bloke was also claustrophobic, so who knows how she got him there. He didn't know that. George is claustrophobic. And yes, he was there. He told her to call the cops, and her kid was needing to be picked up. So yeah, I think you're combining her ex-husband and her boyfriend. But Matthew Harris says, do you think Dr. Pepper is going to sponsor the trial coverage in this case? If not, it's a missed opportunity. Yeah, really. I mean, it's like the choice of convicts, Dr. Pepper. What is it? How many flavors do they have in Dr. Pepper? What's their advertisement? That number might come into play. They better keep DB quiet during victim impact statements. Let it be summer. I've said this, that if I believe the judge will order him there, first of all. I think the judge will find it important for him to hear the impact of his crimes. Because he's found guilty of that, she's not under the same burden to keep everything nice and civil and dignity and everything else. He's guilty, and he should be treated as though he's guilty. The gag might come into play if he really acts out. But man, how despicable a person do you have to be to like insult or interrupt a family who's telling about losing a loved one due to your crime, and you're gonna You're going to use that moment to be like, subject matter jurisdiction? Yeah, I think she'd go straight to the gag on that case. 23 flavors of death, criminal scum. We've already got the slogan lined up. I'll go ahead and send that to Dr. Pepper and see if that happens. What's happening is Annette makes rude comments and now wants to be a victim. All right, guys, deep breath. Deep breath. Okay, we're getting riled up. We've talked about some issues that are close to a lot of people, and Jujubin, I think you just finished counted. He objected 1,562 times. Is that the actual number? I mean, I'm sure somebody out there has counted that, so might be able to find that on Google. But Jason Muller says, I remember her saying engagement ring, not wedding ring. That would make more sense, but I thought it was wedding ring. I might have heard wrong. So thanks for the correction if that's the case. You guys, we have talked about some heavy things and some things that are very personal to a lot of people. I know a lot of people in here have had experience in some very painful situations and are still dealing with those. So let's give everybody a little bit of space. Let's ease up on some of those topics and then we'll just move on. This is supposed to be a fun place. So, all right. Yeah, Annette Churchy says, Annette, we're a friendly, respectable bunch over here. Please don't leave. Seriously, I've said this before, and it applies on this channel as well as in politics. We're a better place if everyone's in here, if we get lots of input, if we get varying viewpoints. I've got some strong political opinions. I've got some strong personal opinions, and I'll share some of those. But I want to hear the opinions that differ from mine, especially if they're like, deeply held convictions. I want to hear why, especially why you feel that I may be wrong. And if we can do that in a respectful way, I might learn something. You might learn something. We probably might find we have some common ground we didn't know we had. It's just going to be good that way. Nothing burps like a Dr. Pepper. Said from somebody who knows, right? Max objecting already. I understand that he can deny being present in the courtroom for sentencing and impact statements. So he's got some rights. Is that one that he can do? Let's see. Let's see. Hope she gags him and makes him stay. That would be funny. Okay, started watching a week ago. Your live chats are great. Hey, Karen, the live chats, they're great because you guys are amazing. Literally, you are a fantastic group of people, and I love just bouncing around between your knowledge and questions and just all the wittiness, the dry humor sometimes. I know we've got a lot of some UK people on here that they tend to have dry humor in spades, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Matthew Harris says, have we discussed the possible intoxication defense by Sarah Boone or lack thereof? I don't know how effective that would be when she's already testified or told the police that she absolutely was not drunk and that she doesn't drink. And then she's like, I had like one glass, and now she's gone to, I blame the wine. Her story has changed so much, and that story is already in evidence. I don't know if she was drunk. I mean, if she was completely, soused, out of her mind. I hope I used that word correctly and didn't insult somebody. Would that mean she's not guilty, or would it be a lesser charge? Is that diminished mental capacity state that she may have been in play to her benefit in that case? Diesel Kuhn said, I just read about this case. Why does it seem so outlandish that Sarah got drunk and passed out, leaving him in the suitcase? Not for days or weeks, but for mere hours. Just asking. It could happen. But the problem is her story wasn't that. Her story was that she was not drunk at all. Her story was they were playing a game. But then she zipped him in the suitcase and went upstairs and forgot about him. That's her story. And she gave that whole story, so sad. It was didn't intend for that to happen. She gave that story, and then the police showed her the footage from her own cell phone that has video of George in the suitcase struggling to get out, screaming for her to let him out, saying, I can't breathe, and her swearing and yelling at him and saying this is how I feel when you choke me. This is how I feel when you cheat on me. That part of the story, that little accidental piece of evidence that she forgot to delete or something, it just seems hard to fit that piece in with the accident story. But it's possible that the alcohol played more a role in this than she admitted initially. She was slurring in her video. Okay, so that may help in her defense if she's got evidence that she was drunk. Matthew, what do you think about that? About the intoxication level, her intoxication level particularly? Is that a good thing for her, or does it not? I mean, if you're drunk driving, you kill somebody, you still have to face the penalty. You don't be like, oh, well, we'll just let you off with a speeding ticket because you were drunk. You made the choice to drink, right? And so you sort of have to accept the consequences of your actions when you were drunk. Churchy, that video, it's terrible. It is terrible. And the fact that there are 2 videos and a still image of that, and they were 10 minutes apart. So he was in there for a good while. But Shane O'Neill, welcome. Hopefully you got your little message, Shane. I tried to reach out to you to let you know when I was going live, and then I ended up being late. But I should be open-minded, but my decision is made already. Yeah, some of us might be a little biased from what we've seen. It might be hard for one of us to be a member of the jury in this case. Luckily, most of us aren't in Florida. Lisa, it might fall on you. We're counting on you, Lisa. Let's get this done right. Who videotapes their own crime? That's just crazy. Karen, amazingly, all too many criminals end up being dumb, and they do videotape their own crimes. And some of them post them on social media. It's the cops just might be like, thanks for doing my job for me. You made this easy. But the video is very disturbing, Juan. You're absolutely correct. They could read out the phone. Tiffany says, recovery addict, you could read out the phone book and I'd listen. Gorgeous voice. Thank you. What letter should I start with? We'll try a few pages out of the yellow pages. How many people on here today, says Shane? Oh my goodness. I thought we'd just have a small group. We've got like 830 people or something like that. Wow, a bunch of you on here. Let me go faster here and reading the questions then, because some of you, it's starting to speed up a little bit. Ashley, say it was intentional. Why would she not delete the videos or at least move them off her phone so they're not found instantly? Has she had a psych evaluation? I don't think so. I don't think she's had any. She's not trying to plead insane, but I don't think she's had a psych evaluation. She was on the video shaming him while he was in the suitcase. You're correct, Tom. Roxanne says, I've said many times I couldn't sit on a jury. Roxanne, it's one of those things that if you don't want to be on a jury, there are ways to get off of it. But maybe not really truthfully. You'd almost have to lie or something. But basically, if you do have a preconceived notion and say, hey, I can't shake what I already know. I know this guy's guilty. They're probably going to strike you. They'll use one of their preemptive strikes and get you off. Or the judge would probably remove you for cause on that case. Give Recovery Addict a shout out on Law Talk with Mike. Mike has a big YouTube channel. Patty, that's fine. We're fine just being a nice little group of friends here. I don't know what I'd do if I grew too fast because I'm already struggling to keep up with the chat. This has all been exciting for me. This last week, really, it went from about 12 people. We spent about 4 hours together on Wednesday last week or so, and it was one of the best 4 hours live streams I've ever done with just a handful of you guys in here, and some of you are still here today of those 12, and it was awesome. I went to bed and I told my wife, I said that was the most satisfying hobby type thing I've ever participated in. It was just so neat to have great insightful people and everything, and the next day we had 35, and the next day we had 85, and the next day we had 400, and then it went to 13,000, and now I'm struggling to read all your messages, and I've skipped a bunch already. So let me go back to my work here. Matthew Harris says, my opinion is that she's intoxicated, maybe not drunk in the video. Intoxication is not a complete defense, but there is a foreseeability factor to consider. Matt, I'm sorry I put a timeout on you. There's going to be a second part to that thought, and we'll catch it as soon as it comes on. We'll give him 30 seconds here. Jennifer says, I heard on court TV, them say, she said, that's what it feels like when you cheat on me. And I've heard that's what it feels like when you choked me. Which do you think she said? I believe she said both at different points or on the different videos, because there were 2 videos 10 minutes apart. She also was dropping the F-bomb at him and stuff like that. What was in the video? Let It Be Summer. The video is basically, it's a portrait mode, or like a vertical landscape, or a vertical mode video that she shot on her phone, and you see the suitcase on the floor, and you see it moving, and you can hear a voice, and you can see someone's pushing on it, trying to get out, and saying, Sarah, I can't breathe, let me out, Sarah, please, type thing, and she's yelling and swearing at him. That's what's in the video. It's hard to watch, but it's going to be a key evidence in this case. She had to have shoved the suitcase downstairs that caused the head injury. She was adamant that she had no idea where his bruising on his head, where those contusions came from. And if she had pushed the suitcase down the stairs, it's possible that she wouldn't have a direct knowledge of exactly how they happened. But she was just in her interrogation, she's like, I have no clue. I have no clue where this. We didn't lay a finger on each other. She was just adamant about that. Mike's cool, says Tom Gillis. I'll take your word for it, Tom. Mike, you are cool now. Congratulations. Bruce says, 826 watching and only 200 likes. Let's go get those likes up. Only if you like it. If you don't like it, then click the dislike button twice. That's my request. Mayor says, Churchy, thank you. Thank you, Churchy. Whatever it was, Mayor is grateful. We'll pass that along. Matthew Law, the second part, says, drinking and driving has a foreseeability of causing a wreck, but not all crimes. Also, perhaps she was involuntarily intoxicated if he gave her something without her knowledge. Did they do a blood draw on her? I know in the interrogation they scraped under her fingernails. I don't know. But she was so adamant that she wasn't drunk. I don't know what they did, and too much time may have passed between when they actually interrogated her and took her into the station and when, oh wow, my YouTube's going nuts. Okay, tons of questions. Second video, who's that said that here? Second video, Phidias Maximus says, second video, the suitcase had been moved from original location. Yes, and flipped, moved and flipped. And the police noticed that, and they called it out in the interrogation. In the U.S., says Diesel Kuhn, in the U.S., does intoxication reduce your sentence? In Germany, it does. So, Diesel, that's what Matthew Harris was getting at. Matthew is actually a lawyer. He does this for a real job, and between his court cases and appearances and representing clients and all the wonderful stuff he does in that realm, he pops on here and gives us some great advice and clarification. So when you see Matthew pop in with a comment, first of all, click on his name, find his profile, follow his YouTube page. The guy's amazing. We're going to have him on in video as well in some of our lives here soon once we get all the details worked out. But you can count on his comments basically being admissible in our court of public opinion here. Holy moly, a frog just jumped on my coffee cup. Lori, where are you that a frog just jumps on your coffee cup? I'm guessing you're outside, and if so, how's the weather? Hopefully it's beautiful. Abby's welcoming Jimmy May. Welcome to the family, Jimmy. Thanks. Glad you could be here. And once again, thanks to my mods. I'm probably going to make a few more mods, and I'm probably going to give some of you a break. You guys have been working your tail end off. I know Roxanne has been struggling sometimes as chat just goes so fast, and she's done an amazing job. I might give you a vacation here soon, Roxanne. I don't want you to leave, but I might let you rest from the moderator efforts. Give you a gold star for that as well, though. Maybe he did it to himself in a panic. Criminal scum. Possible, but that wasn't her story. If he zipped himself in the suitcase, that wasn't her story. Clint's got another name suggestion. You could change name slightly. Recovery treasure addict. That's an option. I'm thinking about it. I literally have to change so much. First of all, I've got to change my avatar because it's a picture of me finding a gold ring. That's my metal detector. That's my hand. That's a gold ring I found. And I think that ring is on the chain of rings that I'm giving away, which I'm still working on. Hopefully we get that done this week. I had a little contest where I said everyone who's subscribed to my channel, when I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm just going to choose one and give them all these rings. And so I've got all these rings that I found metal detecting, some gold, some silver, some tungsten carbide. I was going to give those away. These are the ones haven't been able to return to owners. And so I thought that was going to take like a year to get to 1,000 subscribers, and you guys it bumped by like 2,000 in a week. It was crazy. So Mayan, we don't know. We think, according to her story, which is the only story we have of these events right now, is that he got involuntarily as part of a game. Carolyn Black, it was crazy watching DB looking for attaboy and for not interrupting your honor. He's pathetic. Oh my goodness. I know we're trying to, break from DB a little bit, but his mannerisms in court were bizarre from where he's, you go from the stare, the face twitching stare he gave the judge where she said, "Hey, I'm scared. I've got to leave. This is too much," type thing. You go from that to the look he gave her while the jury's deliberating. And he's like, "Your Honor, you know it's coming, right? You know it's coming, right? Subject matter jurisdiction. Hey, yeah." I'm like, oh, this guy something's missing. There's like a disconnect in his head. Wonderful. Roxanne, thank you so much. I will give you a break. Everyone, if we could just give Roxanne a massive clap, round of applause, claps in chat type thing. Roxanne has been here from pretty much day one, being a moderator. She has incredible experience in some things that we don't like having experience in, but that's the lot she was dealt in life, and she's done an amazing job with it. I appreciate her both sharing her story as well as working to make this environment one that's so friendly and open for everybody. So thank you. I've granted your vacation request. I hope you still see you in here, Roxanne. But thank you very much. We will be meeting here next Monday. Yes, we will. Shane, next Monday, the 31st at, I think it's 1 p.m. Wisconsin time. So you've got to sort of do the math wherever you are. But at 1 p.m., the good Judge Darrow, is going to be back in court with the two parties, and she's going to find out from them how long they think each side is going to need for their statements, both the impact statements and the victim statements. Roxanne, that is awesome. Look at all that. My whole screen is filled up with applause for you. Roxanne, you are amazing. Appreciate you so much. Thank you. DB won't be smiling on sentencing day. He didn't charm her to his side. Ick. I don't know. I think that's still his last hope, is to sort of, I don't know if he thinks there's some sort of Stockholm syndrome thing going on between him and the judge. I doubt there is, but yeah, it's weird. We might see a third side of DB that we haven't seen before. Roxanne, thank you all. I'll be here. I'm crying and feeling love. I really do love you all here. Roxanne, seriously, these aren't empty words. You're amazing. Thank you so much for being here and for kicking this all off with us. If you ever want to reclaim mod status, and let me know. We'll give you a break for a while though. Thank you. Shane is applauding here in Ireland. Shane, you are amazing from Ireland as well. I've been here for the long haul as well. Lori says, "I can't wait to hear Judge say her piece on that day." She will. She will, and it's probably not going to be short. She's probably going to really spell it out, and then I think she's going to throw the book at him. I mean, not literally, although I'd like that as well, but figuratively. Will it be broadcast next Monday? Yes, at least I'm pretty sure at least that portion where they question the sides about how much time they're going to take. I can't see why they wouldn't broadcast the impact and the victim statements. That, of anything, is the message that should be let out, that should be told. It will be heart-wrenching, and it might be frustrating, depending on who speaks. But it's the message that should be told, and the memories that should be kept after all this event. I wouldn't want to leave this court case and move on to other things and only have the memories of how DB mocked the system and ridiculed it and at every turn. What we should remember is the amazing families, the amazing first responders, the people who went from watching a Christmas parade to treating triage patients in the street. the unity, how the community came together. That's the story that will be told, as well as the stories of loss and heartache and how injuries have changed families forever. But yeah, I think for sure that's what we need to take from that. For the defense, Sarah denying her alcohol use will further the argument to the level of her drinking problem. Yeah, we're probably going to hear from neighbors about her drinking problem, but would the prosecution want to bring that up? Is that going to be something that they're like, and we're going to prove that she's a drunk or an alcoholic, when that could actually be viewed as sort of a defense or a mitigating factor in the case? Shane O'Neill, he is not being sentenced Monday. You're correct. It's probably going to take a good while for all the statements to be read, especially on the victim statement side. But we'll find out then when the sentencing will happen. Okay. Churchy says to Lisa, she doesn't need to humor him anymore. We're talking about Judge Doro and DB. He'll end up getting gagged. I only believe he'll be gagged if he acts out. The judge isn't going to gag him preemptively. If he insults or starts swearing at victims, or mocking families, or saying just really bringing up more of his idiotic objections in at times when he's supposed to be listening to other people, I think she will gag him. But Monday is scheduling only in DB case, no victim statements or sentencing. So we could find out. Monday's the 31st. The judge only had the month of October slated for this trial, and initially she was wanting to move right ahead with the victim statements, like we would be doing them now. But actually, DB asked for an extension, saying, "Can you give us time so we can figure out, get people here and everything?" I don't know who he's going to get there. I don't know who would talk about him or want to talk about him right now. It sounds to me like his own mom doesn't want to participate in that, for whatever the reason is. Obviously, she still loves him, but maybe the court scenario in that setting is just not one she wants to be in. Mac says, "I'm a good moderate drinker." Awesome, Mac. Good job. Shane O'Neill, on a local Waukesha TV station last night, they told the story of a child seriously injured last year who will be dancing this year, dancing in the parade. That will be wonderful. If you are anywhere near Milwaukee area, if you're anywhere near Wisconsin, if you can make it to that Christmas parade, if you can in some way support it or post or on their page or share something that can spread the message of support for that town, it would be greatly appreciated. It will be very hard and a very healing time for that parade, and I hope it goes without incident, and that everyone can just get back to healing and celebrating the way they intended to back in November of 2021. Churchy saw that. She says it's heartbreaking. It is, but at the same time, it's wonderful to see people healing. Lisa says, "I'm wondering if they checked Sarah's Dr. Pepper for vodka. It was part of the crime scene. As a matter of fact, the officer would not let her get it. So I imagine they probably checked everything. We'll find out a lot of information about that during the court case." It's going fast again. I kind of think she didn't want. I kind of think, this is P. Will for real, says, "I kind of think she didn't think he'd die, so I don't think she meant to kill him, but wanted to obviously torture him for the night. Otherwise, why call the police instead of getting rid of the body?" Okay. So you're basically saying you believe that it wasn't her intent for the outcome, but it was her intent for him to be, in an uncomfortable situation and, subject to her whims type thing, where she was in control. It might be enough if she intended to torture him for the night type thing. That might be enough intent, because a reasonable person could assume that somebody screaming that they can't breathe actually can't breathe. And for her to intentionally leave him in that state, I think that might be enough intent to get her on second-degree murder. But I see where you're going with that. I'd like to hear more as we go on, especially P. Will for real. I'd like to hear, as we go along and different evidence comes up, how you feel that fits with the narrative that she's giving, as well as with what the police are saying. Gwen Pigeon says, give Recovery Addict a thumbs up. To find the like button, X out of the live chat, hit like, and then you can come right back in the chat. Wonderful. Thank you, Gwen. Appreciate you being here, all of you. Will impact statements for DB be Monday too? Let it be summer? I doubt it. I doubt they're going to start the impact statements on Monday, but it's possible. We'll definitely know for sure on Monday if they're going to be Monday or when they will be. The fact that they're starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, probably not, because they're going to go for several hours, maybe even a couple days. Shane O'Neill says, "I would love to go to the parade, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to fly over, especially for it." Shane, I appreciate it. It's a long trip from Ireland to Waukesha, but we'll send your wishes for you. NC is sentenced on Tuesday, not DB. Anthony, who are we talking about? Who's sentenced on Tuesday? I have to look into that. So War Eagle Jack says, I just got here. When does her trial start? Well, War Eagle, when we started this live stream, we were thinking it was going to be November 7th, but we learned that her lawyer has put in motion of continuance, which could delay the start if it's accepted. Our resident lawyer, Matthew Harris, says that the motion's sort of weak, and so it could sort of go either way. So it might continue on the 7th. It might begin on the 7th, or it might get delayed again. It's been delayed previously, if you look through all the filings. Churchy says she intended on torturing him and displayed a total lack of regard for his well-being. Here, I'm going to get off that picture here. There we go. All right. Now we're back on me. I hope she gets slapped with contempt. I hope he gets slapped with contempt. Mayor, what would the contempt be for right now? Let's see. Mayor said the judge should gag him if he's just disruptive. She doesn't have to walk on eggshells with Brooks anymore. Yes and no. She still has to be professional. She still has to follow the law. But she can enforce decorum in her courtroom. And one of the things at her disposal, as we learned ad nauseum, was, in Wisconsin versus Allen, that she has the ability to gag the defendant for being disruptive. So that's a possibility. But at the same time, she can't gag him at times when he needs to be able to reply as the lawyer or object or something. So the timing has to be perfect for that. And I don't know how that will go. Oh! We've got a comment here. The neighbor. Where's the neighbor comment? Telenique? Is that how I say your name? The neighbor said she heard a loud thud that night. That's why I think she kicked the suitcase downstairs. So if that's the case, we'll most likely definitely hear from the neighbor. The timing of that will be important. It'll be interesting what else she heard. Roxanne says, also hit the bell and make sure your device has YouTube notifications on as well. I'm trying to find a good way to notify you guys, because apparently the notification bell is not the most reliable way. If you follow one of my other social medias, I'm going to try to find a way that I can post on social media, like either on Twitter or Facebook or something, and just say, hey, I'm going live at this time, or here's a novel idea. I could just have a schedule, and so you guys know when I'm going to be here. If so, what time would it be? We've been doing pretty much, as the beginning of day, as court opens up, is how we've been doing for the past few days. Is that a good time for you, or what do you think? All day, every day is 24/7 recovery addict. She'll probably remove him and mute him in the other courtroom. Stephanie, I really think she's going to want him in the courtroom for victim statements, and he's going to have his head down the whole time, a lot like he did during sentencing. That's what I think. Matthew Harris says, class reductionist, that UCLA professor with my name has absolutely ruined my Google alerts. Oh no. I hate it when somebody with your name does something bad. I was a little kid, and I saw somebody in a magazine by my same name, my same age. I'm like, this guy better not do something, awful, or else people are going to think it's me. Max says, I drank for 45 years and never pulled a Samsonite overnighter. Yeah. What brand of suitcase? Are we going to Samsonite? Is that what we're thinking it was? Max says, "Happy Halloween." It is nearly Happy Halloween time. Do you guys have your candy? Just curious. I'll tell you. I spent some time over in England, and the thing that was most interesting to me is the idea of caroling, like Christmas caroling, going around singing Christmas songs. Growing up at my house, my family's fairly musical, and so we'd go. We had, by the way, come from a family with 10 kids. Okay, I have 9 other brothers and sisters, and so we're like a full-on choir anywhere we go singing, and we'd go and we'd always bring cookies. We'd make hundreds, dozens and dozens, like almost 100 dozen cookies, and we'd give them out. It would take days to sing to all the people we wanted to sing to. Over in England, what I found is caroling works the other way. You go to their doorstep and you sing until they give you money, so they pay you to stop. You guys can correct me, Abby, if I got that wrong, but I like that idea better than giving away cookies, because I like cookies for me. Churchy says, "Recovery Addict, I missed your last 2 streams due to no notifications. You could post on your community page." Churchy, I need to find out what my community page is. This is all new to me, so I'll need somebody to teach me what I'm doing. Ashley says, "Recovery Addict, I think you need to be on call for for when we need you. On call, how would you notify me? Is there going to be like a big red button any of you can push anytime you see a legal thing going down, and then the camera just turns on automatically? We could rig that up." I've been thinking about that. This is my squirrel moment. Okay, I have an idea. I'm going completely out on a tangent, so I apologize. But I have some technology set up that will enable it so that you guys can trigger things in my live stream. So like literally you guys could push a button and change the camera view. So you could, if you wanted to, while we're talking, if suddenly you wanted to see, the behind the scenes, what it looks like, you could make that happen, or you could make different things happen, sound effects and things like that. I'm wondering if that would add or take away from the channel. I don't want to make it so that it's like a mess and flashing around all over the place, but give me your thoughts. Obviously, I don't want to make it take away from what we have, but Shane O'Neill says, "Trick or treat is alive and well here. I remember doing it as a child, dressing gown." Yeah, it's we give away tons of candy here. I live in a very small town. It's about 5,000 people. It's a rural area next to a fairly good sized city, and our street is a historic street. It's like the main road through town, and so for some reason, our street decorates houses like Griswold style for Halloween, and so our neighbors actually aren't too fond of us because we don't go to quite that extent. We're much more conservative in our decorations, but other houses are just full on every inflatable Halloween item you can see. There's a dragon, like a 9-foot dragon on top of the house opposite mine that lights up and glows and flaps its wings, and it's just crazy. But so because of that, people from all the towns around come and trick or treat just on our street. So we end up giving away 15 pounds of candy, and that's if we are really stingy with what we give out. But it's nonstop. It's not like somebody knocks on the door, you open the door, you give them candy, close the door. No, it's like they're standing in a line and they just file past, and you're just constantly handing out candy to everybody. But that's what it's like here. Lori says, "I painted a pumpkin for my hubby for his work contest." That is awesome. CD Man says, "I'm from England, and during Halloween, we just tend to stop answering the door when too many people have been." Yeah, and what's with those kids who don't wear a costume, and they're like 18, 17 years old, and they come and knock on your door, and they're like, "Give us candy." And you're like, "Are you a little old for this?" What's the acceptable time to say, "Nah, you're too old"? And then at the same time, you tick them off, and they're going to throw eggs at your house, right? So it's like it's a balancing act. Jennifer says, "Roxanne, I'm a nurse, and the residents look forward to carolers all year." That is awesome. I've gone and played my guitar and stuff for an old folks home, and just loved it. The residents were so appreciative. Probably because they were deaf. I mean, that's what I was thinking. But CD Man says, "Oh yeah, we'd stop answering the door." Got it. Shane O'Neill says, "Who's in NC?" I'm in NC, North Carolina. Or Nicholas Cruz. Okay, who is NC? I read that wrong, Shane. Nicholas Cruz, was that the sentencing? I'll have to go back. I missed the initial comment on that, so I sort of jumped in late in the conversation. But Linda Larson, welcome. She says, I've never met trick-or-treaters until maybe 5 years ago. I'm from Denmark. Wonderful. My mom's from Norway. A little bit of Scandinavian in me. Never too old. Never too old to trick-or-treat, as long as you're in costume. Leanne825, as long as you're in costume, right? Ed, North Carolinian, welcome. Obviously, I'm a transplant here. I've been here for 3, maybe 4 years, and I'm loving it. I've only left the state 3 times, and that was for 1 day each up to Virginia. This is my home now. The Parkland shooter. That's who we're talking about. He's sentenced. What was his date? I didn't follow that one very much. I'm not a big fan of those. The crimes where somebody intentionally is trying to get their name out, I'm torn, because yes, I'm interested in crime and in law and in justice and everything else, but I don't want to be a part of accomplishing their design of I'm going to become the most famous person ever. So I've got this battle going in my head. I need to find exactly where I stand and then determine if we're going to do it or not. Churchy says, I did follow you on Twitter, Recovery Addict. Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot of you have reached out to me on Twitter. You can see my social media links if you go to my channel page. On the top right-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner of the banner, it has a bunch of links. And those are some of my social media or my other platforms. And I think I actually put my link tree up there. And it has stuff that I've done for metal detecting, some of my other stuff. So it's got like links to some affiliate links for some of the equipment that I use, and PayPal and other stuff. But if you want to click that, it'll show you where to find me on other places. And it's easier to reach out to me either with email or Twitter or something like that. I'm easier to get a hold of that way. Okay, let's see. So NC's Nicholas Cruz is getting sentenced on Tuesday. So that's November 1st, right? Maybe we'll watch for the sentencing. Okay. Welcome. North Carolina is God's country. It is beautiful, I can tell you that. The weather here is fantastic when it's not a hurricane. Mike Kick says, New York is not God's country. I've got a buddy from New York that loves it up there. He does metal detecting and loves like the 1812 type history as well as the colonial. Really cool stuff. Sounds beautiful, says Roxanne. Sounds beautiful, Roxanne, says Shane, I should say. Wonderful. Okay, look, guys, this has been fun. I need to wrap up. I've got some homework here to study. I want to definitely look into this continuance issue. I want to look into a few other items that I found in the record for this Sarah Boone issue. If there's other trials I need to look at, I obviously, if this one's going to be delayed, I need to find another one that we could probably talk about in the meantime. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to reach out. Probably on Twitter would probably be the easiest if you're on Twitter or Facebook. And then I can look into those. If there's one you want me to cover, or just even if it's just for like one live stream, if there's something that you want me to talk about where we can go over it, I'd be happy to do that with you guys. Skimmer, we thinking they will when he's sentenced. What was Skimmer saying? I believe the DAs in DB trial are upset with the judge for her leniency. They didn't thank her. In their statement, they didn't thank the judge? That's interesting. The judge was a former assistant DA. So, hey, junior deputy's in here. What's up, buddy? Do you want to say hi?
It's got some mail, and guess what's on the back?
What?
Some money.
Someone mailed us money?
Yes.
Sounds like a political ad. We're coming up to voting season, and we're getting political ads like crazy. And apparently, one of them sent a $1 bill. That's is that even legal? Nice.
Something on it that Mom said. You only know it.
All right. Can you let me finish, buddy? I'll be out. We can play a little bit later. Oh, you can keep this one. I think.
Okay.
I think that one's yours. Love you, bud. All right. They say hi, by the way.
Hi.
He waved. He is adorable. He's my youngest, and he's the reason why we got an entirely new kitchen shortly after moving into this house. That's a fun story, other than the price tag that went along with it. Rock on, everybody. Live well, love deep, and never stop reaching for the stars. Ed, that's a great little saying. I can say amen to that one. We're going to wrap up here. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to try, I'll just say this. I'm going to try to be online on a schedule, pretty much same time every morning. And then depending on what's going on in court in various trials, we might either do more. It might be a full day type thing if you're able to join at various times, and you don't feel obligated to be here for the whole thing. Obviously, you guys have lives and work and family and everything else, and that should come first. But if you're available, I'd love it if you can join me. This is a great thing for me, and I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, there's some great advice in here. Churchy, he is adorable. I love him to death. He is a monkey. He has climbed on top of our 2-story house on our 12-12 pitch roof just to prove that he can. I mean, I might not live till he reaches, adulthood, just for my heart's going to give out before then. Anyway, this is, it's going to be a great day, everybody. Please, hug the people you love. Be safe. We're going to be on here again tomorrow in the morning. Abby says, love the live recovery addict. Thank you, Abby. You won the internet today, being first on here, and you've had that honor a couple times. So I appreciate how quick you are to click that notification button. You're amazing. Matthew Harris, thank you. We'll be in touch. I want to figure out, I'm going to do some testing today on how we can get you on live, to, and figure out, what we want to do and what works best for you. But you've been amazing, so I'll do what I can to work around your schedule or what you'd like to do in that regard, if you want to still. Shane, amazing. Have fun in Ireland over there. Go to YouTube and search for the terrifying case of the suitcase killer. Yeah, it's crazy. Tom Gill says, hey, buddy. Hugs, everyone. Have a great day. Abby, you too. Right back at you. Virtual hugs all around. Thanks as always, says Churchy. By 8:30 a.m., Shane, I'm going to try. I was a little bit late this morning. Trying to get the kids going there because we do homeschool here, and trying to get the kids going on everything they need to in the morning went a little bit long here, so I was late. But I'm going to try to be 8:39, sort of around there, my time, Eastern time. And I think we have daylight savings. Is that this weekend? Do we get like an extra hour of sleep this weekend? I know not all countries do this, but. And not all states do this, but I think we get an extra hour of sleep this weekend. And if so, awesome. I may be on tomorrow. Depends what we find tonight. Saturday is sort of like my iffy day. Sunday, you get the day off. I'll never be on Sunday, but yeah. Anyway, so hopefully we can have you guys all back. And I appreciate all the likes, the shares. You guys go into my links and follow my other channels. I try my best. I try to reply to every single comment after these lives are over. Shane says, I'll send you an email with a suggestion. Look for it. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate your emails already. You've got some great stuff. Please keep it up. Roxanne says, bye, everyone. Much love to all. Thanks for the much-needed break. Roxanne, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I know I sort of threw you into that without really asking your permission, and you just took off. Daylight savings time is next weekend, says Matthew Harris. All right, so we'll wait till then to get our extra sleep. Ireland and England says, I think, Jane, you're talking, yes, Ireland and England. I think you're talking daylight savings there. See you all soon. Wonderful. You guys aren't leaving, so I'm going to have to just wrap it up here. I don't want to go, but we've got some homework to do. I've got some work to do, some technical stuff to get sorted out, and I want to spend some time with my family here in this good weather before it gets cool. So, what kind of music should we end on? Do you want something upbeat, like club, something happening, get us going for the day? Let's try that.